Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. Hope you guys are all doing well. We've got a fantastic show on the way. But first, I just want to say thanks to NordVPN, our sponsors here at the Everything is Black and White podcast, who without none of this would be possible. And we've teamed up with them to offer our listeners and viewers an exclusive offer. You can click the link in the podcast description box or go to nordvpn.com/tune to sign up and save your pennies on a plan. It is well worth your time to sign up. You are secure, you are safe, and you're supporting the podcast. Why sign up? I hear you ask. Well, there are a host of benefits. For me, it is the value for money because one subscription can be used across 10 devices. That's your work phone, your personal phone, your tablet, what have you. 10 devices, one subscription. I mean, that is the definition of value for money. The other thing I love about it as well is the way that it keeps your details safe and secure when browsing on public Wi-Fi. So if you're on the bus, the train, you're in a cafe and you're connected to their Wi-Fi, there is always the risk that your details could be compromised. That's your bank details, your passwords, and a load of other stuff as well. But with Nord, you are safe and you are secure. And that for me means a heck of a lot. And look, if you're going abroad as well and you're missing your home comforts and you want to keep with it with all your UK streaming services, then you can click the location back to the UK and make sure you never miss your favorite program. What is not to love about it? It's absolutely fantastic. Very simple to get on board. You download the app, you sign up, and away you go. You're keeping yourself safe, you're keeping yourself secure, and you're supporting the podcast at the same time. And another benefit, and I've already mentioned three, and there are a host of other things to mention as well if we had the time. But the final thing I'm going to mention is a 30-day money-back guarantee. So it's literally no risk. If you don't like it, get your money back. But you will like it because it's a superb app to have on your phone. Keeps you safe, keeps you secure. And once again, you're supporting the podcast. So click the link or go to nordvpn.com/tune to take advantage of an exclusive offer for our listeners and viewers of the Everything is Black and White podcast. Roll the titles. Hello and welcome back to the Everything is Black and White podcast. I'm Andrew Musgrove and it's time for the view from the opposition. This week it comes from Sam Davis from the Back of the Net podcast at Bournemouth show. Newcastle head down to the South Coast on Sunday, hoping to get the better of the Cherries, who have started the season in really good form. I was just saying to Sam off air that I didn't expect to come into this show in such a positive vibe for Bournemouth. Sam, it's going all right, isn't it?
It's really going well, considering we've lost a number of players, 4 out of 5 of our back line. Andoni Iraola's had to mould together a squad once again that new players that don't really know how he plays, but he's just managed to do it, and absolutely love the guy. It seems that we're a club that is transitioning season after season. That's partly down to our success, but as long as we've got Iraola, everything will be okay. So yeah, really, really pleased with how it's gone.
It did annoy me slightly in the summer when all your big names were being linked away. And as you said, quite a few of them went. I'm happy on one hand you managed to keep Semenyo, because I would have loved him at Newcastle United, but I'm glad he stopped for Bournemouth and didn't move anywhere else. Is it frustrating? Or do you just kind of see it that is football, unfortunately, and no disrespect to Bournemouth, but do you kind of just accept that is the size of the club? And if you have a good couple of seasons, then these bigger sides will come in and unfortunately nab your stars?
Yeah, I think we know our place in the footballing food chain. Sadly, it is frustrating because once you've had something good, especially over the course of a season like we did in the last campaign, you want it to happen again, but get better. So you want to keep what you've got. So to have a number of players leave, it is frustrating. And last season we were thinking that's our chance of Europe. I mean, we flirted with it for most of the season, but we fell off in the second part of the season, really due to injuries more than anything else and the lack of squad depth that we had. But we did feel that was our chance. So once all these players left, we thought, well, it was nice to flirt with it, but now I know it's only 4 games in, but we're starting to think it again. Premature, I know, but signs are good so far. But it is frustrating, yeah, I've got to say. But we just know where we are, like I say, in the footballing food chain. I just think players aren't signing for Bournemouth to stay forever. We would love that to be the case, but it just isn't. We're an ideal gateway to the Premier League for a number of stars from the continent, really, because they know they're probably going to get minutes. They'll be playing under a manager that plays good progressive football that can help enhance their own, technical quality in the way they, adapt to the English game. And within a season or two, they probably know that they'll be able to move on to either a big European club or somewhere else in the Premier League. So it is a win-win situation in some ways. The only way it's a win-win for us is that our recruitment stays good. Thankfully, it has been at the moment. So yeah, we're in a very fortunate place.
What is the secret then to how the managers managed to bed in these new players? Because you can lose 1 or 2 stars and it's difficult, let alone the 4 or 5 that you've managed to see off this summer, and yet he's just sitting comfortably in the table with 9 points from the opening 12. So what is the secret?
I wish I knew, because I'm sure that other managers would be replicating exactly what Andoni Iraola is doing. I just think, firstly, the recruitment has been so good, and I think the advantage we've got under Gary O'Neill, that Andoni has over Gary O'Neill, who was our previous coach, of course, is that the club and the way we play football, we've got a clear identity now, so it's easier to identify the players that we need to get in. Therefore, when they do play for us, they tend to hit the ground running. But I think Andoni Iraola is just such a good manager. He gives the players a lot of confidence, and they're encouraged to express themselves, and they know that there's sort of 10 other players around them that they can trust when they do take to the pitch on a match day. So I don't know what it is really. It's just giving the players a lot of self-confidence to to do what they want to do, and thankfully it's working for us.
Yeah, it certainly is. And one man who's getting a lot of minutes, and I'm very pleased that he's starting to show his worth, is Tyler Adams. Because viewers and listeners of this podcast will know that a couple of seasons ago, when Leeds went down, I said Newcastle should go out and sign him because he's quality. And I got a bit of stick in the comments saying he's not that good. But he seems to be a big part of what Bournemouth have at the moment.
Yeah, and he's one of these players that you come out of Vitality Stadium, or Dean Court as we all call it, and you sort of think to yourself, actually, what did he do during that? Because he doesn't do anything that's overly standout. He's not one of these stars like Antoine Semenyo or Justin Clivert that grab the headlines. He just ticks along, doing what he has to do, sits in front of the back four, tidies everything up. He's strong in the challenge, and he's just been exceptional for us. The main challenge with Tyler is just keeping him injury free, but thankfully he has been so far. He's played in a lot of our matches, and he has been so good for us, and he just links up play really nicely between the defense and the midfield, and the strikers as well. So yeah, he's an unsung hero for us. We've got a few that we could probably tag with that as well. Ryan Christie's another one as well, but yeah, Tyler Adams is a star for sure. So keeping him fit's the main thing for us.
And that's probably where the biggest battle will be on Sunday, isn't it? That midfield battle. And usually it'd be very easy to predict what Newcastle's midfield 3 would be, but with the Champions League on Thursday, I'm not going to do that, because I imagine there might be some rotation. So whether Lewis Miley perhaps comes in for one of Newcastle's midfield 3, being Joelinton, Bruno and Tonali, I can't really see Eddie Howe sticking for the 3rd game in a week with those 3, but you never know. But we have got quite a good midfield. Do you think that's where the battle will be on Sunday?
Yeah, we tend to find that against the good footballing sides, and Newcastle are exactly that. I think when we played Brighton at the weekend, in many ways it was a tale of two defences, because our defence was very strong and resilient, so was theirs, and yeah, the match was played in the middle of the park. And I see your back line as being pretty strong. Ours is, whilst it is new and fairly newly moulded together by Iraola, I think they've managed to get it quite quickly. Therefore, I think whoever's going to be in the middle of the park for us, I mean, Tyler Adams is going to be one of them, but it could be Ryan Christie, it could be Alex Scott. We don't know ourselves, but yeah, I certainly think that is where the battle is going to be for sure. And I've sort of seen that in the matches that we played against Newcastle recently as well. I mean, your kind of main midfield 3, I think, on their day are some of the best in the Premier League, absolutely. But so we know what we're going to be up against, and hopefully we'll be up for the fight.
it's going to be an interesting starting 11 for Newcastle United, because the first game really, well, it is the first game this season after a Champions League game. And we've always talked about rotation throughout the summer. They've got the depth there now. So it's going to be interesting to see if Eddie Howe makes any changes, which I imagine he will do, especially with the League Cup coming up as well, just a few days later. But in terms of Bournemouth, I mean, what is their main strength that Newcastle have to look out for?
I think it's obvious to say, but it's our wingers. Antoine Semenyo, he must be scary to play against, given he sometimes will cut in on. Well, it depends what flank he plays on, firstly, because sometimes he's on the right, sometimes he's on the left. Very difficult for someone like Eddie Howe to plan for. But even when he's on, say, that right flank, you don't know whether he's going to take it to the byline. You don't know whether he's going to cut in on his left foot. Same when he's on the left-hand side as well. I think our wing play is so crucial. And what's handy is the way we play with Andoni Iraola. The fullbacks like to push up and sometimes leave us quite exposed at the back, but we sort of trust ourselves, because then like Tyler Adams tends to come back and join the central defenders to sort of strengthen ourselves up. So on the left hand side with Adrian Truffert, and on the right hand side we don't particularly know who it's going to be at this point in time. It could be one of our new starlets, Jimenez, or it could be James Hill again. They like to get forward as well. So our width is certainly so important to us, and we've seen that with a number of goals that we've scored already this season. I mean, you know, David Brooks on one of the sides that he's like a player reborn for us as well. So it's quite pleasing that this season we've not only had the new stars that have really adapted well, we've had the continuity of the form of the people like Antoine Semenyo, Justin Cliver, but also we've had the stars that we think could do a little bit more, like David Brooks, like Alex Scott, who are actually doing better as well. And, you know, both of them almost in a way feel like new signings. So it's a really good mix now, but width certainly is our speciality.
Alex Scott getting his first home league goal as well against Brighton. So I'm sure he'll be going into Sunday with a bit of a bounce in his step. In terms of the main weakness that Newcastle United can exploit, if he was sitting across the table from Eddie Howe and he asked you, Sam, to share the secrets, what would you be telling them?
So for Bournemouth's weaknesses, yeah. I would say if there was going to be one, it is our right hand side, because Adam Smith is out with a hamstring injury. Lewis Cook stepped in at right back a number of times last season. He's only just come back from injury. We've got our new guy in Jimenez, like I say, James Hill. You can see that actually our fullbacks. I mean, Adrian Truffert feels like an upgrade on Milos Kerkez. It feels maybe premature to say that, but that's what it feels like right now. However, from the goal that we conceded against Brighton at the weekend, just after half time, it was a tale of two fullbacks really, because the ball started on the Brighton right hand side. Adrian Truffert was sort of pulled inside out, allowed I think it was Baleba to get the cross in, or was it Minter? I can't remember. It was one or the other. He put the ball in, and then James Hill was probably found out a little bit at the far post as well. So there is a little bit of naivety in there, but that is the way that Iraola plays. It's organised chaos. It's reckless at times as well. So yeah, the fullbacks is really where Newcastle could prevail. But I'd like to think our central defensive partnership will be able to make up for that.
Again, I've got so many questions about how you deal with XYZ of Newcastle United, but I'm coming to this thinking, actually, you know, will he be playing Jacob Murphy right wing, or will he play Anthony Langer? Because Jacob Murphy's likely to have played 2 games in a row. Will he play Nick Valdemari for a 3rd game in a row in a week? It's loads of kind of unknown when it comes to Newcastle side. But let's say Nick Valdemari does start on Sunday for Newcastle United, and we are recording this prior to the Barcelona game, so no, my luck, now I've mentioned his name, he'll end up getting injured. But anyway, we'll keep everything crossed he doesn't. If Valdemari does start on Sunday, how do Bournemouth deal with him? He scored a wonderful header on his debut. Doesn't look the strongest, but he's very tall and he's got good feet as well. It'd be an interesting battle between him and your centre backs.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really impressed with him during the under 21 Euros. I thought he was absolutely superb during that, and from what I've seen of him so far, he seems to have, you know, settled in really nicely. I think, yeah, he could do with getting a little bit stronger, but he just causes nuisance. But I would like to think our our centre-back partnership, which will, I don't know now, because our Serbian 18-year-old centre-back that we signed from out of nowhere seemed to settle in really nicely at the weekend, and he got man of the match. But the experience of Marcus Senesi next to him, or whoever it will be, it could be Bafode Diakite, who's played most of our other league games this season. Again, another new signing. I'd like to think that they could stand up to the test. But this is certainly a test, and his height as well is going to be a bit of a concern too, because Marcus Senesi is not the tallest. Now this takes some time to pronounce, but Veljko Milosavljević, who's the 18-year-old that we signed from Red Star Belgrade, he is pretty tall. So for that purpose, I think I'd probably want him in again just to be able to deal with that. But yeah, he is going to be a handful, and I'm sure that Iraola will certainly be wary of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame Newcastle haven't got Johan Visser to either play on Thursday or indeed on Sunday against Bournemouth. I think Waldemar probably will start and then hopefully do the business in the first half, and he can come off either at half time or with 60 minutes on the clock and have a nice rest ahead of the next league game. In terms of how Bournemouth approach Sunday, in terms of the way they'll play and also the way they look at the game, because I imagine they will be hoping Newcastle have a really good test against Barcelona and are absolutely knackered on Sunday. So we can take advantage of that.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, what we're hoping is that you'll have the ball. Rarely do we win games when we have the most of the ball. I mean, it was touch and go at the weekend, but I think we just shaded it against Brighton, having just over 50%. But in other games, if you see the stats afterwards, but you don't see the scoreline, if you see that Bournemouth have had 65% of the ball, 70%, you know that we've probably lost the game. And that's just the way we play. You know, we will allow the opposition to have the ball, to hopefully tire out, and then we'll hit them with these very quick counterattacks. I think same thing sort of happened when we went up to your place, of course, back in January. The stats showed that you had a lot more of the ball, but it's kind of what we do with it that counts. So I don't think our game plan specifically changes massively. It's not like Iraola is one of these coaches that will say, all right, we need a low block today, we need to defend. It's not like that. He'll play the way he wants to play, but it's just being very economical with the ball when we have it, breaking very quickly, using our width, being really compact in midfield, make sure we win the ball, be aggressive with it as well, and hopefully that will stand us in good stead. But this weekend we know that we're up against a quality side, one that has maybe been a little bit underwhelming so far. The results maybe haven't been what they want. Newcastle fans, they probably want a little bit better than that. They probably want the scores to be a little more emphatic. I mean, we know your pain from when we beat Wolves 1-0. We felt as though it should have been more than that, but it wasn't, and there were times where they nearly got in, but we did what we had to do. I think this one will be another case of two teams that like to play football, and in many ways that's what is a good thing for us. That's what we'd rather have. I was more worried about our match at home versus Wolves than our one away versus Spurs, because we know that they would like to play. A little bit different when Newcastle are playing at our place rather than when we're playing at your place, but I still feel as though we've got enough that we could punish you. But I'm aware that I'm riding the crest of a wave at the moment, mentally, like emotionally, everything. And I'm very optimistic for the way the season pans out. I know it doesn't always work out like that, and I know that Eddie's got a score or two to settle. I think his only victory over us has come in the League Cup, so he's going to be wary of that, and he's going to be wanting to cause some havoc, I'm sure.
Certainly so, but you should be very happy with how things have gone. You should be riding that wave. Of course you should, because you've had a wonderful start. And I have to admit, Bournemouth are kind of, if I'm allowed to have kind of a favourite non-Newcastle United side, I think it probably is Bournemouth, because I like the story, I like the manager, I like the players you've signed, and also the podcast host as well.
Lovely. Top
man. In terms of kind of the star player that Newcastle need to look out for, I mean, you've mentioned quite a few of them, but who is the one man you think Newcastle will be keeping a close eye on?
I could be really obvious and say Antoine Semenyo. My pick would be our striker Evan Nilsson. I think his numbers don't reflect how good he is. It's his off the ball running though that's absolutely superb. He stretches defenses. He gives the defenders an option quite often. I mean, when people think of Bournemouth, they think it's kind of nice, pretty football. We're not so much that these days, because quite often we will build up well and it will be quick on the counter attack. But every so often, one of our centre backs will spray a long pass into the channels where players like Evan Nilsson, he can run into, and he's strong. He's getting quicker as well, by the way, which is good. But he just causes an absolute threat up top. So yeah, he would be the one that I think would be part of Eddie Howe's conversations. I'm absolutely certain. I think last season, he even in one game he won 3 penalties, all of which were converted by Justin Cliver. But he was the one that won them all. He won another one at the weekend as well, with his very quick and very sharp running as well. I really like him. I just think that a lot of Bournemouth fans see it as him being a striker and him needing to get more numbers, which I probably agree with. I would like to see him as a 20 goal a season striker, but if that was to happen, he would be the next Dom Solanke and he would go for 60 or 70 million, which in many ways we don't want. But if he can keep on doing what he's doing now and being a real crucial cog as part of that team, then I'll certainly be happy with it.
I remember last season he scored, I think, a few goals in quick succession. So I put him into my fantasy team, and then he went on a massive went on a massive drought, didn't he? Which was just my luck. But yeah, I do like him. Looks like he's got a bit of strength about him, and he's just always wanting to make a difference. But hopefully, has a stinker on Sunday against Newcastle. In terms of the Newcastle United player you're most fearing, again, it's maybe hard to pick one because we don't know what the side's going to be with rotation most likely happening. But can you give us a name of who you're most fearing?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends who's available, of course. I mean, I could name a number of players that on their day would be are horrible to play against. It would be easy to say, Bruno, Tonali. I mean, Joe Linton, I absolutely love. I think he's a beast in midfield, and the way that Eddie Howe's now utilising him, I think, is so good. And I think Eddie and Andoni have got some similarities in some way. I think, indeed, I think when Eddie was out of football, he actually watched Andoni train for a bit, and they are, not close friends, but they I think are very close admirers of each other. But one of the things they have in common is finding players and maybe taking them out of their comfort zone and playing them in different positions and then seeing them thrive. He's done that with us, with players like Marcus Tavernier, with Ryan Christie, who's a winger, but he plays in the number 10 position and he's absolutely superb at that, or sometimes in the number 8. But yeah, Joe Linton is an absolute powerhouse. He's got strength, he's got aggression, he knows how to hit the back of the net. If you fire him up, you've got a hell of a player on your hands. But then also the likes of Anthony Gordon as well, just his raw pace that he can offer too. And I know that he can play on the left, he can play up front, depending on how things go. The versatility of him is very impressive too. So it's more the players that Eddie has changed rather than the likes of Bruno, who like you always know he's going to be there. Joe Linton, for me, absolutely superb player.
Yeah, I absolutely love him, and it's kind of one of those stories as well, which you absolutely love. I think regardless of who you support, a man brought in for big money who had flopped. He struggled to wear the number 9 shirt and turn into this absolute midfield powerhouse. I mean, if anyone had offered you that, they would have taken your hand off. I mean, unfortunately for Newcastle, you mentioned Anthony Gordon there. He will be missing Bournemouth because he'll have the suspension to serve for Liverpool. So a boost for you, but it's a great chance for Harvey Barnes, because I think everyone, obviously we'll be listening to this after the Barcelona game, but I am confident in saying that I think Anthony Gordon will have started against Barcelona, which means Harvey Barnes will come in because he has to against Bournemouth, but hopefully with a bit of a point to prove, I'm a bit good, I missed the Barcelona. So here's why I should start the next one, sort of thing, which hopefully will work in Newcastle United's favour. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the starting lineup for Newcastle United. Sam, all that remains to be done then is to get your score prediction. How is this one going to go?
So difficult, because I want to be really, really confident, but I'm gonna rein myself in somewhat. I am, and I'm going to say that this could be a 2-2 draw. I would like to think that home advantage could maybe shade it for us, and I've witnessed what we can do, but of course, Newcastle fans know what they can do on their day as well. So it all depends who turns up on the Sunday. But I'm going to play safe and go for a 2-2, and hopefully that means Newcastle fans will like us. They'll come to our channel, they'll subscribe, and all that kind of stuff as well. So happy days, eh?
I will take a 2-2 draw. That seems to be the scoreline everyone is predicting for Newcastle United matches lately. However, I don't really want to say it or admit it. I'm not feeling overly confident about this one. I think simply because it's the first game after a Champions League game, which means it's the first time Eddie Howe has to think about rotation in terms of just pure fitness. It does worry me slightly. Bournemouth in good form, as you mentioned, the record of Howe against Bournemouth as well. I can see Bournemouth sneaking a 1-0 win here, to be honest, and it pains me to say it. But yeah, I'm wary of Bournemouth, and I think they could pick up a victory on Sunday, but hopefully I'm wrong on that. We'll wait and see. But Sam, thank you very much for popping onto the podcast and providing the insight into Bournemouth to you guys watching and listening. Make sure you get into the comments, leave us a rating and review as well. Take advantage of your NordVPN and special discounted offer by clicking the link in the podcast description box. 1 subscription, 10 devices. Keep yourself secure while online and support the podcast at the same time. For myself, I will see you guys very soon.